Welcome back to the deep dive. We're plunging into some really fascinating ideas today, some surprising truths hidden maybe in plain sight or perhaps just misunderstood. And today, well, we're not just tackling a concept, we're basically challenging centuries of misunderstanding. What if everything you thought you knew about alchemy was completely profoundly wrong? Not some whimsical, quest to turn lead into gold with bubbling potions, but a forgotten, almost elegant science of matter itself. Our mission today is to unpack a truly revolutionary framework. It comes from a paper titled Quantum Alchemy, Coherence-Driven Transmutation and the Hypergeometry of Matter by Philip Lilien. This isn't just reinterpreting history. This work bridges ancient alchemical insight with, well, cutting-edge quantum physics. It redefines how we understand matter, its stability, how it transforms. It's a pretty mind-bending journey, honestly, and we're here to guide you through every surprising turn.
That's exactly right. And our goal in this deep dive is really to give you a shortcut, a way to get truly well-informed on a topic that I think will genuinely surprise you. It might even shift your worldview a bit. By the end, you'll hopefully gain an intuitive grasp of concepts that, let's face it, sound like pure science fiction at first. Things like coherence thresholds, torsional nuclear lattices, scalar field, hypergeometric resonance. These aren't just obscure terms. They might actually be the true underlying basis for how matter transforms, how it holds together, maybe even how life itself orchestrates its processes. The implications you'll see stretch deep into biology. They offer radical new perspectives on energy, and they even touch upon the very nature of reality. It truly is a completely different way of looking at the universe we inhabit.
Okay, let's unpack this right away then. The paper, it wastes no time challenging assumptions. It starts by saying alchemy has been profoundly misunderstood, dismissed as superstition, right? Or a quaint historical thing, maybe even a delusion. But Lilien argues it's far, far more. This isn't about, some wizard in a smoky lab forcing metals to change.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is how the paper immediately brings in this new vocabulary. Not to invent totally new ideas, necessarily, but to reframe these ancient concepts with modern precision. It's like finding the Rosetta Stone for forgotten science.
Yeah.
It lets us see what those alchemists might have really been mapping. They weren't just trying to make gold through, well, brute force or spells.
Yeah.
They're symbols, they're cryptic texts. In this new light, they look like they were mapping deeper truths. That matter isn't fixed. It's a resonance. It's in flux. That form is field. And that transformation isn't forced by heat or pressure, but it's tuned, elegantly tuned, which suggests a system that, in its metaphysical insight, was arguably more advanced than our modern materialism has really allowed for.
So let's dive into some of this new vocabulary, because these aren't just synonyms for old ideas, they fundamentally shift our understanding, right? Take quantum alchemy itself. How does Lilien define that?
Right. Quantum alchemy in this framework is defined as the coherence-driven transformation of atomic or molecular systems. And notice that key phrase, coherence-driven. It means transformations happen through field-structured resonance, rather than the brute thermal or mechanical force we usually think of, like in chemistry or nuclear fission. It's about elegant alignment, not violent collision. That immediately signals a big shift.
Okay, so if it's coherence-driven, what exactly is a coherence threshold? Is that just a fancy term for needing enough energy?
Not really, no. Think about, say, a perfectly aligned marching band moving in perfect unison, or dancers in sync. The coherence threshold isn't just about how much energy they use, but about achieving that minimum precise field alignment needed to reorganize a structure's whole resonance geometry. It's like finding a specific key, a precise frequency that unlocks a new, stable state for that matter. It's not brute force, it's a very specific pattern.
Like tuning a radio exactly to the right station.
Exactly like that. Slightly off, and you just get static. You need that perfect resonance.
And it gets even more mind-bending with hypergeometry. We're used to atoms as little balls, but this paper talks about higher dimensional geometric structures. Help us picture that.
Okay, let's try an analogy. Imagine you're watching a puppet show. You see the puppets moving on stage, interacting with familiar 3D reality. But the real blueprints for their movement, the strings, the puppeteer's hands, the control system behind the curtain, that exists in a sort of higher dimension the audience doesn't see. Hypergeometry in Lilien's work suggests our atoms are like those puppets. Their stability, their identity, their potential to transform, it's all guided by these unseen multidimensional patterns. It's not just the geometry we perceive, but the geometric structures organized in the resonance fields within the atomic and nuclear systems, deep down.
So these hidden blueprints dictate everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
What then is the tetrahedral core the paper emphasizes so much? Right, at the heart of this hypergeometry, especially for lighter elements, is the tetrahedral core. It's described as a fundamental four-point field configuration. Not just a shape, like a pyramid, but a specific arrangement of energy fields. This configuration seems to underlie the stability and transformation potential of light nuclei, especially helium-4 and carbon-12. It's like a fundamental geometric building block, a template.
And if something is transforming, the paper calls it a transmutation cascade. How's it different from, say, standard radioactive decay?
Oh, it's fundamentally different. A transmutation cascade isn't random decay. In this model, it's a sequence of resonance transitions. One nucleus reorganizes into another through coherent field steps, not violent rupture or random particle spitting. It's portrayed as a guided, controlled transformation, like steps in a dance, not an explosion.
Okay, guided. So how do you induce that guidance? That's where field-induced transmutation comes in.
Precisely. Field-induced transmutation is activating those specific coherence thresholds we talked about. And it's done not by brute force, but via external fields, torsional fields, photonic fields, or these intriguing scalar fields. These fields literally restructure the nucleus's geometry by tuning its internal resonance. It's a very different kind of force, more like a carefully applied vibration than a hammer blow.
And what about life? The paper introduces biotransmutation. I mean, does that really mean our bodies are somehow turning elements into other elements? That sounds wild.
It does sound wild, yes, but that's exactly what biotransmutation suggests. It's defined as coherence-guided nuclear transformation happening naturally within biological systems, and crucially, at low energy thresholds. This is a truly profound claim. It challenges everything we think we know about biology and where elements are supposed to come from. We'll definitely dive deeper into that.
We have to. Okay, and how do we even start to map these complex transformations, these pathways?
Lilien proposes an alchemical resonance map. Think of it like a new kind of periodic table, but dynamic. It's a topological diagram showing coherence states, linking isotopes, field inputs, and the actual transformation paths between them. It maps the connections.
A dynamic periodic table. Okay, then there's the torsional lattice. Sounds incredibly complex. What's that describing?
The torsional lattice describes the rotating field geometry of subatomic particles, even the nucleus itself. Imagine the universe not just as particles, but like a vast collection of spinning tops, all interacting. In this model, the angular phase alignment, how these spinning fields line up, determines stability and reactivity. It's subtle, but apparently very powerful.
And finally, a complete rethink of how stars work. The stellar coherence engine. That's a massive claim against standard astrophysics.
It absolutely is. The stellar coherence engine is a radical model. It views stars not just as thermonuclear reactors, but as huge coherence resonance modulators. They're described as transforming elements using field geometry and precise resonance, not just raw heat and pressure. All of these definitions, once you grasp them, they immediately signal this profound shift away from particle collisions and brute force. It suggests a far more elegant, subtle, interconnected universe, like understanding the symphony, not just listing the instrument.
Right. So if matter is tuned, like the paper says, and not just forced around, how does this tuning actually happen?
Yeah.
The paper points straight to this hidden geometry at the heart of everything. Not just a metaphor, but a foundational template for stability and transformation, embedded in phase symmetry, field resonance. It's suggesting shapes we don't see dictate how matter behaves.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, it implies identity in the universe is defined by geometry, maybe even more than by mass. Let's take helium-4, extremely stable nucleus, right? Usually we just say 2 protons, 2 neutrons, simple. But Lilien's paper says it's much more. It's a coherence bubble, a perfectly phase-aligned tetrahedral configuration of those 4 nucleons. Think of a perfectly balanced pyramid where every point and face is in harmony. This specific spatial symmetry is what cancels out internal torsional stress, making it incredibly stable.
So it's not just the number of particles, but how they're arranged in this coherent geometric dance.
Exactly. This tetrahedral structure in helium-4 has what the paper calls torsional cancellation across its axis. Its internal resonance fields align with maximal phase overlap. Super stable unit. And crucially, it serves as a seed template for building larger coherence lattices. This explains its huge role not just in stars, bridging to heavier elements, but also, surprisingly, in biotransmutation, maybe acting as a coherence source in living systems. It's proposed as a fundamental geometric building block for both cosmic and biological alchemy, the alpha particle in a whole new light.
And it gets even more intriguing with carbon-12. We all know carbon is the basis of life. The paper explains C12 extends this tetrahedral idea, but through a triangular set of 3 helium-4 substructures.
The Hoyle state, right?
That's the one. The Hoyle state, a resonance where three alpha particles, three of those helium-4 tetrahedral cores, align in a kind of star-like triangulation. This isn't just packing atoms. It's a specific, highly stable phase condition. It gives carbon its unique properties.
And what does that specific phase condition enable? Well, first, the ultra-stability of the carbon nucleus itself, but also an extraordinary potential for resonance-mediated bonding. That's the very basis of organic chemistry, allowing for life's complexity.
Right.
It also makes carbon highly reactive to specific torsional or scalar field inputs, which, as the paper suggests, is crucial for advanced biochemistry and these low-energy transformations. So in this model, carbon isn't just a passive building block. It's described as a coherence field node. It integrates stellar and biological resonance, a critical bridge.
Wow. This framework completely flips our understanding of what makes a nucleus who it is, doesn't it? It's a revolutionary reversal. The paper states mass is not the primary identity coherent structure is.
It's a profound shift, yeah. Protons and neutrons aren't static little balls. They're dynamic field concentrations. Their specific geometric configuration, their phase alignment that defines their identity and stability. So, two nuclei with identical mass numbers could be dramatically different in stability or reactivity based purely on their internal torsional phase, their field symmetry, how their nodes overlap with coherence thresholds. Like two identical tuning forks, but one's perfectly balanced, the other's slightly off. Their resonance, their song, is completely different.
And this leads to a whole new way of organizing matter, a new periodic table based on resonance geometry, not just atomic number.
Precisely. A much more dynamic, intricate system. The paper argues this tetrahedral coherence structure isn't just a shape, it's the generative operator of nuclear stability. All stable nuclei, in this view, are permutations or stackings of these fundamental tetrahedral units, joined by field overlap, not just partopacking. This deep geometric pattern underlying all stable matter is what the paper boldly calls the true philosopher's stone. Not a magic rock, but a universal geometry holding the pattern of transformation itself, the master key to the universe's harmonic structure.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The paper claims nature itself offers examples of this elegant alchemy, not just in stars, but through coherence, even in biological systems. We think transmutation needs immense pressure, temperature, or radioactive decay. But Lilien challenges that, suggesting nature uses resonant field alignment, coherence, not brute force, and it shows up in life and in stars.
And this raises an absolutely crucial question. If biological systems can actually do this, what does that mean for our understanding of life itself? How life interacts with matter? The paper details some fascinating empirical anomalies, things that challenge conventional chemistry, suggesting field-mediated transmutation at incredibly low energy within living things. For instance, there were these documented observations. Calcium to potassium conversions in shellfish, like mollusks. It just doesn't add up based on their diet.
Really, they just make potassium.
Apparently. Or plants generating manganese in amounts that can't be explained by soil absorption. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're persistent anomalies that standard models struggle with, often just dismissing them as errors.
So normal chemistry can't explain why a mollusk seems to be creating potassium out of calcium. That's huge. How does biotransmutation explain it?
Exactly. This concept, biotransmutation, suggests life acts as a sophisticated, coherence-driven transmutation engine. The proposed mechanisms are really cutting edge. It suggests scalar resonance fields generated by, say, the complex structure of DNA helices, or cell membranes, or even microtubules within cells.
Microtubules, like in the brain.
Yeah, known for their quantum properties. Also, quantum water domains, specially structured water in the cell, acting as field amplifiers. And phase coupling with environmental EM fields, coherence gradients guiding nucleon redistribution, all without violent decay or huge energy inputs. Essentially, life isn't smashing atoms, it's tuning them, guiding their internal resonance to reconfigure their identity. These transformations need precise torsional resonance windows, specific field thresholds, not high energy, and access to those tetrahedral coherence templates, maybe from helium or carbon around. It implies life is way more active in material synthesis than we ever thought.
And it's not just tiny biology. The paper takes on the grandest scale stars, proposing the stellar coherence engine instead of just fusion. Why challenge the standard fusion model?
Well, the paper points to several persistent puzzles in the traditional fusion idea. Things like observed elemental abundances in stars, lithium anomalies, for example, that don't quite fit the predictions. There are also reports of low-pressure fusion signals in the solar corona parts of the sun, way too cool and diffuse for normal fusion.
Huh, never heard that.
And the way elements seem to form in stars, the nucleosynthesis paths. They don't always look random or purely heat-driven. They seem to follow specific sequences sometimes.
So if they're not just giant fusion bombs, what are stars in this new model?
The model portrays them as massive coherence engines, structured not just by gravity and heat, but by gravitational torsion and hypergravity, fields deeper aspects of gravity. They're described as highly efficient resonant modulators of field phase, not just chaotic thermal zones. In this view, stars are huge natural transmutation hubs, guided by these nested coherence thresholds. Hydrogen becomes helium through precise tetrahedral field alignment, a geometric ordering, not just collision. Helium becomes carbon via that triple resonance Hoyle state 3 helium nuclei cohering. And heavier elements arise from elegant harmonic cascades within the star's coherence lattices. This completely reinterprets solar behavior, stellar energy, supernovas, even where elements come from, all based on coherence and geometry, not just thermodynamics.
What stands out to you most about this idea that a coherence threshold is the real gate, whether in a cell or a star? It's such a shift from just needing enough energy.
It's absolutely crucial because it fundamentally redefines the mechanism of change. In biology, in astrophysics, the paper argues the key question isn't how much energy to smash things, but what specific coherence threshold must be crossed for self-reorganization. Each nucleus, each element, has a resonant field gate, a specific harmonic window for transmutation. And these windows are described as incredibly sensitive, nonlinear, geometric, responsive to subtle things like torsion, symmetry, external field modulation. And here's where it gets truly profound. The paper suggests they might even be opened or closed by conscious field alignment.
Conscious alignment, you mean like thought?
As observed in certain advanced ritual or scalar systems, yeah. Bridging ancient alchemical claims with quantum principles. So alchemy in this framework becomes real not by breaking the atom, but by cohering it into a new song, a new vibration, just by tuning its underlying field.
Okay, ancient alchemists used these arcane symbols, right? Dragons eating tails, circles, weird salts. They look mystical, totally unscientific. But this paper argues those weren't random symbols. They were maps of transformation based on resonance, not just heat. So how do we reconstruct that map now?
Lilien proposes that instead of seeing elements as discrete, fixed things like bricks, each element is a node in a vast, interconnected coherence lattice. So transmutation isn't violent destruction and recreation, it's a sophisticated field navigation process, moving from one resonance condition to another by crossing a coherence threshold, like smoothly shifting from one musical chord to another, not by smashing the guitar, but by changing finger positions.
And the paper describes different kinds of these transmutation cascades. What are they like?
Yeah, there are vertical cascades. Those are the big sequences in stars, HAC, each step a coherent geometric shift. Then lateral transitions, which are seen surprisingly in biology, NAAMG or KAK, subtle low-energy swaps, and diagonal paths in isotopic lattices, where one isotope changes to another or even a different element through precise torsional tuning or electron field tweaks. It's like a complex subway map of matter, showing all the routes based on field structures and resonance signatures.
Connecting this to the bigger picture, it means the periodic table isn't just a list. It's a dynamic, harmonic manifold, a living chart of coherent states.
That's a perfect way to put it. The paper pictures it as an alchemical resonance tree. The nodes are stable coherent structures, elements, isotopes. The branches are the resonant pathways between them. And those critical coherence thresholds are the field phase gates guarding the transitions. And it's multi-layered. The tetrahedral seeds, He, CO, are the roots. Biologically active states are the inner branches, heavy element collapses, PV, or the terminal ends maybe, unless they can be recohered.
That's fascinating. And it even challenges iron, usually seen as the dead end of fusion, right? Stars die when they make iron.
Yes, but in this framework, iron F isn't static ash. It's a maximum density coherence node, stable only under specific gravitational torsion in a star's core. But here's the kicker. It's still transmutable. It can be restructured via symmetry re-expansion, reactivating its coherence gradients, maybe even reduced back to tetrahedral seeds under resonant implosion. So even iron might be restructured not by explosion, but by inward harmonic rephasing, retuning its song.
Imagine this. The paper describes a scroll visual of the quantum alchemical cascade, like an ancient blueprint diagram.
It's a powerful image. You'd see the tetrahedral seeds at the base, roots of a cosmic tree, coherence branches extending up, building elements, marked transmutation pathways showing the shifts, activation thresholds coded by color or symbol, and nested resonance layers, showing the continuity from biology up to stars, a conceptual map of everything for matter laid out like an ancient secret revealed.
We've all seen those simple atom models, right? Electrons orbiting a nucleus, drawn like a solid ball. But this deep dive pushes us way beyond that, to something dynamic, almost alive. Understanding quantum alchemy, the paper says, needs us to model nuclei as dynamic coherence geometries, using hypergeometry, torsional nuclear lattices.
And what's fascinating is how it fundamentally redefines the shape of a nucleus. Conventional models, solid balls, liquid drops, they obscure the truth, the paper argues. Nuclei aren't fixed spheres, they're torsionally dynamic coherence fields. Always moving. They have axial spin coupling, phase-tuned torsional alignments, internal field vortices maintaining resonance nodes. The nucleus's shape isn't static, it's resonantly determined, a harmonic standing wave in a curved coherence field. Vibrating, shifting like the shape of a sound wave defines its tone.
And this concept of torsion, you said it's not mechanical twisting. What is it then, and why is it so critical?
Crucial distinction, yeah. Torsion here isn't mechanical, it's a field rotation. Angular momentum in multi-axial phase space. Think tiny, invisible energy whirlpools at the subatomic level, twisting, interacting. The paper suggests this torsion is key for nucleon bonding, holding the nucleus together, and for isotopic instability, why some isotopes decay. Each stable isotope has a specific torsional configuration with thresholds for disruption or enhancement. And here's the game changer. This torsion can be modulated by external scalar fields, EM fields, or even remarkably consciousness fields. Torsion becomes a control knob for nuclear modulation, a direct route to engineering transmutation.
So these hidden pathways, dynamic shapes, this twisting and untwisting, this explains a lot of anomalies conventional physics struggles with.
Absolutely. The paper suggests many transmutation paths need temporary access to higher dimensional field configurations. These hyperlattices appear transiently as coherence bridges between elements during resonance crossings. And crucially, these bridges allow transitions that might even violate standard quantum decay rules, explaining things that baffle standard physics. Unexpected isotope shifts in biology, where elements change without the expected radiation. Low-energy nuclear reactions, LENR, without extreme energy. Scalar-activated element formation in labs, where elements just form under specific fields. The paper even suggests alchemy's ancient symbols, octahedra, cubes, dodecahedra, might be projections of these hyperdimensional resonance manifolds. A hidden science in those images.
And it provides a direct control mechanism, like dialing in a new element, modulating the coherence lattice, compressing or expanding its field geometry. So atomic number might stay the same, but coherence identity changes. Isomers become transmutable. Elemental character evolves through topology, not decay.
That's the essence. Alchemy through geometry. Not mixing stuff and heating it, but modulating matter structure at its harmonic roots, changing its song. Like having a fine-tuned instrument, and instead of smashing it, you learn to play a different melody by subtly altering its internal geometry.
Okay, so if we don't need brute force, no particle accelerators, no stellar pressures, how do these transformations happen at low energy? The paper points to scalar fields as the key. It argues LENR, low-energy nuclear reactions, often dismissed, gain full significance through coherence modulation. And scalar fields, not heat or collisions, are the key to unlocking those torsional coherence gates at low energies.
Right. And the important question is, what exactly are scalar fields doing here? The paper describes them not as directionless or inert, but as global coherence adjusters. They're thought to modulate the phase of the vacuum itself, shift the harmonic resonance of nuclei, create temporary local torsionless spaces, zones highly conducive to coherence realignment. In these scalar zones, energy thresholds effectively collapse, allowing nuclear transitions without neutron emission, fusion-like reactions without heat, field-driven isotope balancing. It's a totally different rulebook for matter. The environment facilitates the change, not external force.
That's incredible, and it ties back into life. The paper says biology naturally creates scalar conditions.
How? It's hypothesized to happen in structured water domains near cell membranes or DNA water behaving differently than bulk water. Also through piezoelectric effects in biological structures, bones, collagen, microtubules generating charge from stress. These biological areas might act as field amplification chambers or torsional isolation zones for subtle transmutations, or carrier matrices for resonance signaling. The paper argues this is the missing link connecting old alchemical reports, like biological gold, scalar healing claims, and consciousness effects on matter, suggesting our bodies are inherently alchemical, capable of subtle material manipulation.
And it's not just theory. The paper suggests experiments. Modern scalar research point to instruments generating these scalar pulses.
Yes. Devices that could align atomic field lattices via frequency, initiate transmutation or synthesis without heat. These represent a new class of coherence modulators, operating on resonance field geometries, practical implementations of the ancient philosopher's stones, not rocks, but advanced vibratory tools, encoding how to manipulate matter harmonically.
So what does this all mean? It's a complete flip, from force to form.
It absolutely is. Traditional physics relies on impact, fusion, breakdown. In the scalar paradigm, no brute force is needed. Form, geometry, coherence, torsion is the prime agent. It's precision, resonance, not power. And this, the paper argues, is why consciousness enters the equation. Not mystically, but as a potential phase coherence operator in field structuring. Our awareness, our focused intent, might actively participate by modulating these scalar phase gates.
This whole deep dive, it challenges our very definition of matter. What if matter isn't just inert stuff? What if it's paused coherence, a frozen song?
That's really the core of Lilien's vision, yeah. Science often sees matter as static, waiting for force. Quantum alchemy reveals it as a suspended field state, a resonance condition held in a coherence lattice. Like a complex musical piece paused mid-note. To transmute it isn't destruction, but rephasing its coherence architecture, shifting its internal harmony.
And this rephasing, this idea of resurrection,
Yeah,
the paper uses that word deliberately.
it does. Not theologically, but as reactivation. Restoring dormant or disordered coherence. It means what seems dead or inert can be restructured, reawakened. Disordered materials purified by resonance. Lost coherence repatterned via torsional symmetry reentry. A material resurrection through restoring coherence fidelity, bringing matter back to its ideal resonant form, not by burning it, but by retuning it.
So the legendary philosopher's stone, it's not a rock, is it? It's this concept that ties it all together.
Absolutely not a literal rock or powder. The stone in this framework is the geometric coherence key itself. It's the intrinsic capability to navigate transmutation pathways, restore phase symmetry, reintegrate matter with its ideal form. In quantum terms, it's a universal phase operator, able to modulate the resonance identity of atoms. And this then reveals what the paper calls the ultimate truth of alchemy. Matter is song, transmutation is retuning, resurrection is harmonic return. That's a profound vision of a fundamentally musical universe, where changing matter is learning to change its tune, reorchestrate its harmonies.
Wow. This deep dive has taken us on an incredible journey. From ancient myths, cryptic symbols, to the absolute cutting edge of quantum physics, theoretical frameworks, we've seen how alchemy, dismissed as superstition, might be returning as a precision field science. A science where matter is a dynamic phase state, suspended coherence. Transmutation is elegant field realignment, not violent collision. It's a universe where the biggest changes happen not by breaking things, but by finding their hidden geometric harmonies.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really changes how we see ourselves in relation to matter, to the universe. The observer, the scalar key, the torsional resonance node, it all kind of converges into recognizing that intelligence and matter maybe aren't separate, they're harmonics of the same fundamental field. It truly suggests a universe alive with inherent intelligence, where form and consciousness are deeply intertwined, playing a cosmic symphony.
So if matter truly is song, and transmutation is just retuning that song, what other cosmic harmonies might be waiting for us to discover? Simply by learning to listen differently to the universe around us. Keep seeking those aha moments. We'll be here to explore them with you on the next deep dive.